just want to very quickly welcome all of you guys here and thank you guys for coming today and being with us today. I'm seeing students, I'm seeing faculty, there's people from the community here, and it's great that we get this chance to be together and to encounter poetry and to share poetry and really to celebrate poetry as well. So I really thank you guys taking the time out of your day to come and be with us now. I want to thank, just very quickly, Dr. Alexander and the Department of English, Modern Languages, and Cultural Studies for supporting this event. And I also want to thank, of course, the New Orleans Poetry Festival and Sean Monroe, who's taking the lead role with all of this, getting the roadshow here today on our campus. We feel very lucky that you guys are doing this for the first time, and you've decided to make Nicholls a part of what you're doing. We really, really appreciate it. So I'm going to turn it over, guys, to Sean Monroe. Sean is associate professor of English at Delgado. We used to teach together. He's a poet. He's a filmmaker. He is also an incredible advocate for and activist for literature in Louisiana. He runs the website Litwire, which is, if you haven't been to litwire.org, it's an incredible space where you can basically see what's going on in the New Orleans area related to literature. Sean does this all as a volunteer. He's an inspiration to me, and I'm so grateful that that you're here today, Sean. So thank you guys so much. So, Sean Monroe.
Thank you very much, Chris. All right. Y'all ready for some poetry? Yeah. All right. This is the most enthusiastic crowd we've had on the roadshow so far. I would like to thank Chris Monnier and Nicholls State University for organizing and hosting this New Orleans Poetry Festival Roadshow event. On behalf of NOPF, funding for this event has been partially provided by the state of Louisiana and administered by the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. Additionally, New Orleans Poetry Festival expresses extreme gratitude to the Literature Translation Institute of Korea for funding the Korean poets at this event. We will have 6 poets who will perform today. 3 are Louisiana residents and 3 are Korean residents. After all the poets have performed, we'll have a brief Q&A, about 5 or 10 minutes or so. So feel free to stir up some questions while you're listening. They're great responders, they're great listeners. They have good answers to your questions, I promise you. We'll begin with Louisiana poets. So up first is Albert Belisle Davis, a native of Houma. He is a graduate of Nicholls State University, Colorado State University, and the University of Louisiana Lafayette. Besides a previous collection of poetry with Blue Heron Press, Davis has published 2 novels with Louisiana State University Press, an excellent press with a lot of excellent books. He has received first place awards in both the poetry and the novel categories in the Deep South Writers Conference. His most recent publication is Trespassers at Acadia, Collected in New Poems, published in 2024 from Mondibon Editions. Currently Dean and Professor Emeritus at Nicholls State University, right here in Thibodaux down the bayou, Davis continues to work as a professional writer, poet, and novelist. Please welcome to the stage Al Davis.
Welcome all of you, and taking the time to run from your lunch and coming over here for I hope will be a great dessert. A sure sign of your devotion to what Sean was talking about, and that's the poetry. And what a gathering this is. I'd like to welcome all of you who are not from this area to our campus. Nicholls State University, as we celebrate our 75th year in existence. We're one of the best kept secrets in higher education, now that I've gotten the PR out of the way. I thought I'd begin today on your dessert tray offering you something light as well as meaningful, and with any luck, maybe some humor. As a way of introducing myself and what's about to come, let me say that whenever I write fiction or poetry, I try to take myself out of the work completely. I like to have other people have a say, to become, in other words, other people. In poetry class, this attempt would be called persona, but I've come to wisely understand since early in my career that I'm not really such an interesting human being. I've always been amazed. Everyone knows where Homa is if you're from here 20 miles down the road. I used to work around there in the courthouse, and even before that I used to love spending time in the court square. When I walked under those oaks, I'd pass benches where people were sitting, and I'd overhear some of the conversations they were having. Some were funny, some were very serious. This eavesdropping has given me quite a long run of court square poetry. And if I do my craft justice, the words that I put down about them would tell you all about their lives very quickly, at this moment in their lives and maybe in their future lives. In other words, all there was to say at that moment. After all, poetry doesn't mean, for you students in here, poetry says. Let's take a walk now, if you'll follow me through the court square to the benches. Here's the first bench. It's the waitress from the Woolworth Dinette just down the street. What would I be if I could not be me? For sure not no apple. Like in Wished I Was an Apple. That song's all wrong. Don't want no bites on me. No, not no muscadine, though I'd have to be a vine to hang here from this tree. Ain't that obvious? What then? Well then, let's see. A maypop, I guess. Why? For the sound. A maypop, pop. A young one, pop. Ain't they veiny, yellow-green, shiny, hard, and round? No, never seen one, pop. Ain't that obvious? But that's what they must be if that's what I would be. Young and hard and green and with some shininess. My green, I mean. His veiny yellowness. Where? Oh, in my shiny, on my shiny, in my young, on my young, but under all my hard. Oh, where you mean? Nowhere, 'cause he's gone. Lord, I'm glad he's gone. Ain't that obvious? Long time, Pop. Now we're going to go, here are two benches. And there are twin teenage sisters sitting apart. You can tell by what they have to say that they're recent orphans. Let's listen to the first one, the surviving teenager, Violette. My parents named me for an opera star, and they be proud, except you know the car. First thing I bought with, you know, the estate was Madame Butterfly on 8-track tape. I like to tell them, liked it fine, you know. Got it instead of a scrunchy hairband bow and that cute German something crystal ring. Real fine, until that chick began to sing. That's funny. Oh, I think that's funny. And here's Violette's older, deeper twin. My father's uncle scared all hell from me, and all God too, on his front porch, like screen to keep the bugs off him and off of me. But I know like he didn't really mean to. So I like asked him, what's Dad like, you know? And he like waited, rocking, thinking some. Our rockers were like, well, kind of Art Deco, lime green and ivory painted metal ones with seashell grooves, all like behind our back. And what he said, like I said, was nice and meant to keep me off of worry. Like he said it, careful, low. My darling niece, he said, daughter of my brother's son. Death's like sleeping, nothing more than that. Only without dreams, no dreams, not one. That's it. Can you get real into that? I know you know, because a daddy died, great uncle should like comfort then. But man, I kind of wish he kind of tried, you know, like preachers try and talk of sin and big hell bugs, like if you die no good, they eat and suck and fly and crawl through screen. I really wouldn't have minded if he had said God or hell for me on Gooby Green. 'Cause being conscious for me's it. I mean, something about not knowing is just all wrong. 'Cause what he said was like, not knowing, man, is far like ever, and far like ever's long. Oh, here's a man on another bench who's about to become a divorcee. Tell my lawyer to tell the lawyer of my wife to tell my wife I will remember us that day before the fall at noon, that day we stood in an aspen hollow, steps before the wood. Our lungs hurt from the short hike from the truck. We sought nothing more than breath. Tell him to tell him to tell her, I will forget all that would follow after noon. I will remember us before the fall, September early on us, the yellow light of aspen on us, seconds before we caught our breath in the quiet hollow, short steps before the wood. Now we're going to pass by a man and a woman, both suntan, backpacks on the ground near their feet. I think they're munching on trail mix. Obviously, they're campers. Let's stop and listen to one of them while he or she speaks directly to us. February leafing willowed through our window nets. In the tent, we wondered, canvas wrapped, if the world was winter gone. I'm going to change pace for you real quickly before I leave you in my short time with you. I wrote a little piece recently called 13 Short Bible Stories. And most of the poems are haiku or abbreviated, quick little abbreviated things. See if you recognize some of these references. Here's Original Sin. If I'm losing out, damn you ain't too. Off that bough, here's your slice, eat now. And it all started from that. Here's Methuselah's wife, Edna. On my death day, I had this to say. I promised I'd look through fall for his lamp and wait as long as it took. But God, how long did it take? Here's Satan himself that's going to speak to you. I bolt all my doors, nail shut every window when humans struck by. And the last one, and thank you again for being here. This is the pirogue. Everybody knows what a pirogue is. It's a canoe, a Cajun flat-bottom canoe. Went told my wife Belle, she take her purse to heaven, I'm paddling to hell. Thank you all.
Thank you, Al. Next up, we have Jessica Kinnison. Her work has appeared in Columbia Journal, Vivi, Entropy, Juked, and the Southern Humanities Review, among other publications. A 2018 Kenya Review Peter Taylor Fellow, her work has twice been nominated for a Pushcart Prize. In April 2020, she was listed among 8 New Orleans poets to watch in Poets and Writers, a big deal. A Mississippi native, she is co-founder of the New Orleans Writers Workshop and was host of the Dogfish reading series in New Orleans when it was active. This was the best reading series in the city, and it was all due to her. She holds an MFA from Chatham University in Pittsburgh, where she taught at the Allegheny County Jail. Please welcome to the stage, Jessica Kinnison.
Thank you. What a pleasure to be here. It was so great to hear your work. I just loved it. Thank you. Let's see if I can go a little taller here. Blood count. Love makes me feel close to death, like I want to be close to death, like I want to live forever but tell everyone what being near death is like the worst hangover you ever had, except it lasts forever. It doesn't go away in 24 hours, it persists for the rest of your life. When I wake at 3 a.m. obsessing, I love myself by counting the 13 ways of looking at a blackbird. By counting, I mean I just say over and over again to myself in the corner of my room lit by one small lamp. It's okay, there are 13 ways of looking at a blackbird. It's okay, there are 13 ways of looking at a blackbird. Love is not remembering the name of the movie you're describing to a partner at dinner and feeling satisfied when he gets the impact of the story without any context clues. For example, I say, I want to go to Australia because of all the great movies I've seen that are set there. Him, I want to go too. Which movies? You know, the one where the girl walks across the desert alone with 4 camels and a dog because her father did it, and she encounters a tribal elder, other lost people her age, other animals, someone who reminds her of her father, and she finally makes it to water and you can't help but cry. You know that one? He says, completely bewildered, I don't, but I see why you want to go. Love is hearing someone struggle to breathe in their sleep and actively trying to breathe a dream of breath into their lungs without moving, without remorse. Love is saying no, 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 no. Love is wanting to kill someone than wanting to die if they die. Love is allowing someone to throw up on you, then when they've recovered, having sex with them again. Love is cleaning cat poop out of the shower because your love loves the cat. Love could be intergalactic. As Sun Ra says, stop being a motherfucker. Stop being a motherfucker. Look at what's happening right in front of you. Love is shoestrings being retied when all you want to do is tuck the undone parts into the sides of your shoes. Love is turning 2 chairs away from the New Orleans sun and inviting someone to sit with you without having to squint. Love is Billy Strayhorn changing his composition for Duke Ellington, his last, from blue cloud to blood count, to mirror the sound of the drip in his hospital room. Love is clearly seeing someone as dying. Thrush, weight loss, drool, jaundice, and believing them when they say all they need to perk up is a blue snowball and a sausage sandwich. Morning shifts at the group home after Mary Zybist. The job was easy. I unlocked the door and found the one who'd been out all night. Sometimes he was bleeding and sometimes he was fine. Sometimes he cried in my arms. Together we came inside and washed his hands and face and hands again with mine on top. Together we washed his clothes and found his medicine tending to a cut or a bruise, taking stock. A phone and wallet and shoes. We would find the recycled flip-flops and put the first pot of coffee on. He'd open the blinds while I checked the dishwasher from the night before. 14 minutes to boil eggs for the whole house, 3 dozen eggs bobbing there, while the man talked or looked out the window at the garden, eyes wet from lack of sleep or beers or longing. The man would tap his fingers on the kitchen table. The man would put on some music and dance. The man would watch the news without speaking. The man would stand close and watch the eggs as the rest of the home woke up cracking. No one liked the grits, the bacon made by a white lady. I already told them I was no cook, but for the man they took it slow, careful not to press on his wounds, the blood and flip-flops blaring under the table like a horn. Float in the air, breed in the city. Snowy egret heard a screen door slam, a Zachary Richard song, Leon's Noir, fish, crow, eat your words, barred owl. Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? Red-bellied woodpecker, what would you die for? Echo, echo, build a nest in a dead tree. Only males sing on these breeding grounds. Indigo bunting intone blue from the highest, while loggerhead shrikes skewer prey on thorns. Barbed wire, Mississippi kite, float in the air, breed in the city. I watched her back with one eye on the red-tailed hawk. Still can't believe such a thing exists. A red-winged black bird, the simple shock of their wings, morning dove, American bittern. Lie to me. Lie to me, oh baby, lie to me. Tell me there's clean salt in the sea, I'll believe you. Soak the corn in brackish water, cook it inside its own shell up on the levee. Tell me I was just born. Tell me I was just born yesterday on the tip of a horsehair bow, playing a Cajun fiddle, fast then slow. Lie to me, oh baby, lie to me. Tell me no one ever drowns here, no one aches or strokes, I'll believe you. Stomp softly up on the porch, hardwood floor pushing up at the joint. Stomp softly while looning to make your point. Then drop your fiddle there with me on the end. It splinters, it splinters, it splinters. Love song. It's early in the morning, well, got an aching in my right side, baby. Gotta get up early in the morning, sugar, to root out the devil. Drop the butter in the cold water, well, dance it in your warm palm, baby. Bet you didn't know how sugar to make a sweet jelly roll. I ain't never been to the ocean, well, wanna see it in your warm palm, baby. Gotta get up early in the morning, sugar, to swirl salt water in your wounded mouth. Sweet jelly roll starts rising, the ache where my heart lives, baby. Gotta get up early in the morning, sugar, to roll me until I ain't cold no more. Mississippi. Good old boys separated, Rasheem's spinal cord from his body in Taylorsville. Without knowing it, I brought an ancient snake on my shoulder up onto the porch. He spilled out of the hollow arm of the umbrella I carried, starting toward my mother. We both stood there trying to see what was happening right in front of us. Unc speaks his mind. This is kind of like one of yours. Unc speaks his mind. They be talking so fast, like being in a pity-pat game. He asked me, what you think gonna happen, Unc? He knew every word of Tupac, knew all them rap tunes, not ad hoc, not de facto. They be talking over his head. Lost a lot of guys over in Vietnam. Them guys good out there now in the corner. They can deal a little weed. Not us, we had a draft card in our pocket. Or we go to jail, don't care who it was, somebody wanted to fight. We all out there fighting. Now they out there all day like nothing. Give them a draft card if they want to kill. Let them go kill, I don't care. I got shot, didn't go to no war. Got 11 years altogether, something like. No matter what corner we on. My son go, yours go, one go, we all go. Contact. Dear Gorilla Glue, plastic knife in the door jamb. Dear Cheyenne's full flavor, 20 for $2.49. Dear dagger tattoo on your calf, dear pulsing muscles, dear arthritis, dear bullet wound, dear infected ear. Dear saw your mom burn, saw your mom shot, dear Yvonne, Shorty, Mo, J-Dog, Bocane, my old lady. She's in the bed after dawn, missing out. Dear dawn, dear mosquitoes, dear bluebirds fighting. Dear Lonely Hearts Club, dear water filling the parish prison. Dear show up at your mom's on furlough, dear it was just a jail thing. Dear stroke, dear stabbing, dear insulin, dear HIV. Dear I woke up this morning, didn't I? Dear all right, all right, all right. Dear don't look at my hair till I get it straight. Dear bananas and my eggs, dear chicken salad and gravy. Dear swimming pool parties, dear barbecues. Dear afternoon storms that roll up just as you leave the house. Thank you for listening. This is my last poem. Starling Love. Boudin boiled outside in the pot, and carcass in the road, and early spring flowers, and waking up the dog, and quiet, and absence, and hold up, and wait a minute, and what is that, and how do you feel, and starling love of dark birds, and meditating to fall asleep, and fireworks like gunshots, and mugs with faces on them, and doesn't know shit from sugar, and gonna be a ghost without a sheet, watch me, and grilling in the parking lot, and birthday cake with no fanfare, and dreams painted on the wall at the bus stop, and Nancy Wilson's voice, and dominoes on the sidewalk, and using a hose pipe to clean off your house at dawn, and when it will be howdy howdy and no goodbyes, and hangnail and killing the fish with clean water, then scooping them out together, and checking our temperatures, and flecks of something white in the cashier's red hair, and sage burning, and bossa nova, fucking bossa nova, how lovely. And I'm making it, and it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't, and all right, and faux show, and I got you, and cats in the alley fighting, and good morning, and sitting in water, and plants growing despite neglect, and needles, and sunrise, and train horn, and boat horn, and your face, and all the faces you've ever had. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next up, we have Jonathan Penton, who founded the electronic journal Unlikely Stories in 1998 and continues to run it as editor-in-chief. He serves and has served in an editorial, management, or technical role for numerous arts organizations, including Big Bridge and Mad Hat Incorporated. He now serves as technical director of the New Orleans Poetry Festival and Rigorous, a journal by people of color. He has organized literary performances and performed himself across the United States. His own books of poems are Backstories from Argotist eBooks, Standards of Sedity by Litfest Press, Painting Rust and Blood and Salsa by Unlikely Books, and Last Chat by Bergen Press. He lives in New Orleans. Please welcome to the stage, Jonathan Penton.
Thank you all so much for coming, and thanks for having me. I can't really see you all at all, it's wonderful. I've been trying to write one decent poem about every sculpture in the New Orleans Sculpture Garden. It's an interesting project. It's fairly easy to write a poem about a sculpture you really love. But the Sculpture Garden is a very varied place, and there are lots of sculptures I just can't stand. Which is a much more interesting challenge. This first poem is about a sculpture I really love called Traveling Light by Alison Sarr. How's that? Is that any better? All right. My black wife and I went to a gallery opening. The exhibit was a mix of painted photographs and mixed media sculptures on the subject of the lynching of black Southerners. The artist was a white man, and he was attempting to explain his work to two other white men, as well as educate them on the source material and events. The two observers were agitated and aroused, thrilled to be there, opening night, for such an important exhibit. They said that the subject was painfully heavy, but they found it cathartic as well. My wife did not sleep that night. This sculpture is a man hanging from a rope. He is upside down. He is hanging from his feet. His head is hollow. His head is a bell. The clapper had to be removed from his skull so that people would stop ringing it. That is all I know. This is based on Overflow by James Plinza. What did Anais say? See me as you are. Far be it from me to complain. See me from every angle then. See if you can parse this eruption of word and bone. Listen, I have so much to say. Listen, I will never say all you need to hear. No big deal, no problem at all. You'll hear what you need, you don't need me to say it. Spend your time hearing it from me, I don't mind. Cogitate, conjugate, speculate on every letter, whether we're tearing up or building down. This is based on Sitting Figures 2 by Lynn Chadwick. It's okay. I have been faceless now for 10,000 years. It is neither punishment nor reward. Look at me. I promise I can look back. Everything works within me as well as inside you. I have lost something you need, but I remain content. Have you seen my arms, my legs, my breasts? They're a little unusual, I grant you. I am not afraid to be proud of them. This is based on Future Generations by William Zorich, and it comes with an introduction. We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. What business is it of yours if he's my brother or my son? He is mine, and I have killed to protect him, just as I kill you for looking at me wrong. He is safe here, not safe from trauma, no, nor terror, nor safe from enraged slaps, just as he would not be safe from those things with you. He is warm here. He knows where he is wanted. No one asks what you have to offer. This is based on an untitled piece by Joel Shapiro that I don't like at all. We fit wrong over the phone. We fit wrong face to face. We fit wrong when I'm touching your cheek, telling you what I regret. Yet I would sit to this coiled wire forever. I have only built this shaky bridge a day. Time is twisting on itself like our bad attempts at romance, leaving me with memories that never happened and may not. Our misfitting doesn't mean much, but it isn't a mistake. Our dysfunction doesn't offer the condemnation we rely on to excuse our hard fit. I will reach for you every night and cup my hand around you in ways that never seem funny or cute. Happiness is not a birthright. Happiness ain't even real. But all our bad connections will remain as authentically timeless as a hunk of unnamed bronze. My eldest daughter committed suicide in October of last year. If you haven't been listening so far, there's no need to start listening because I've said that. The poetry's not going to get any better. I just wanted to contextualize some of this. I started writing in her voice. And here we are, Perfect Vehicles by Alan McCullum. I was conceived by 2 priests on a rowboat. I was buried in 3 matching urns. I was not born to be your jester, but I do accept the laughter, to my face or at my back. I accept the morglow menace in your smiles. I don't mind or know what I am here for. I don't mind, but maybe if I did, I'd resent more than I ever let on, leaving you to wonder where I went. I'd also just seen the Barbie movie, so there's that. This is based on Figure with Tear and Arrow, or maybe Figure with Tear and Arrow, it's not clear from the sculpture, by Sandro Chia. My skin is maelstrom. I am ripped apart by the wound I cannot see, cannot reach, can only identify through frightful dreams. I boil, I blister, I slough off layers of limbs. I'm inured to such inconvenience. This wound does more than fester. This wound is no mere poison. I do not know if it is real, the source of my suffering, or something to keep me distracted while I shred myself. I will find out. I will grasp it, feel it in my hands, shove it further into my body until the maelstrom tears from within. I will know this invisible, intangible wound as myself, as the whole of myself. This is based on Rebus 3D 89.3 by Ida Kohlmeyer. There will never be another blade like this blade, so artful in its curvature, such a perfect Pantene. It needs no handle, for it requires no master, existing for its own eternal sake. Oh, sweet stiletto, with your flawless reds and blues, cleaving me from hip to sternum, dividing every part of me, how you glisten while I merely gloam. You bring me a beauty beyond my own powers, something majestic, soaring, alien. Before you came, I dreamt in black and white. Now I dream only of you. This is based on Restrained by Deborah Butterfield. Some kind of heartless creature, perhaps a see-through squid, eyes down, mouth out, hoping you won't see the broken pieces lest you feel free to take advantage, just like you've done before. Before, the time before that. The throat latch needs adjusting. The noseband is too tight. Arms down, legs stiff, little agonies run across its back and shoulders as it sees your coming virtue and attempts flight, again, knowing that it's trapped. I'm going to read one more. I'm going to try to end it on a slightly lighter note. This is called Standing Man with Radiating Words, based on Leslie Dill's sculpture. Like any kind of penny, the mage is coming back. Messy as a poet, demanding as the memories you can never speak aloud. And if the world is turning past him, he will grind yours to a halt. But if you ask him most sincerely, he will take you in his arms and shield you from everything you value crashing down. So late in the game now, the mages come on back, pretending not to notice that their time is long since up. And if you find yourself unready, just ask them quite respectfully to pretend you never knew who they were. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Check, check, check. Does that sound all right? No?
Can you do the other one?
We're gonna need 2 microphones for this next one. Hello, all right. So I will take a minute to introduce Jaeyoun, who is up next. Is this one on? No? No? We have to turn the button on. Magic, electronic magic. Does that sound better out there, y'all?
Yeah, better.
All right. Do y'all mind sharing a microphone?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, let's just do it.
You ready? Oh, forget about it. Yeah, that's cool. We'll make it work. The next poet up is Jaeyoun. She received a PhD in modern Korean literature from Korea University for her research in 1930s Korean poetry. She also was the recipient of the 3rd Yongang Ilbo Kusang Literature Prize. Her English translations appear in poems of Hwang Yuwon, Jaeyoun, and Seo Dae-kyung, edited and introduced by Jake Levine, who's here with us today, from Vagabond Press in 2020. In addition, the poetry collection Radio Days was published in English, translated by Soo-yeon Bae from Black Ocean Press in 2023. In Korean, she has published multiple books of poetry and criticism. After the pandemic started, she began a series of poems that she has been publishing called Undead and the Origin of the Species. Please welcome to the stage, Jaeyoun.
Hello, thank you for having us, and thank you, Nicholls State University. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm gonna read 5 poems about hybridity and heterogeneity against identification. So this is the best place for reading my poem. Unique City, New Orleans, Louisiana.
One second.
To turn off.
Turn it off again.
That's weird. Feel free to take a minute to talk amongst yourselves. And that minute is now over.
흰 페이지들.
White pages.
주어진 페이지들이 함부로 당도한 까마득한 발자국들로 뒤덮여 있을 때 흰 빛은 어떻게 되찾을까?
When footprints that arrived without permission from far away cover the given pages, how are the pages going to get their whites back?
발자국에서 자라나는 벽들의 높이와
The height of the bricks growing from footprints,
발자국에서 증폭하는 잎들의 묵음이
and the silence of mouths amplifying from footprints.
페이지의 두께를 더해가는 식민의 계절에도 자라나는 것들이 있다.
Even in the season of colonization that thickens the pages, things grow.
시간의 틈새에서 솟아난 균류처럼 우리는 무성하게 입을 벌리고 결국에는 밀림처럼
Like fungi that spores in the cracks of time, when we open our mouths thickly, in the end, like a jungle,
빽빽하고 야만스러워지는 삶.
we become dense and barbaric.
바람은 기원을 알 수 없는 곳에서 불어오고 페이지들이 끝을 모른 채 넘어간다.
Wind blows here from an unknown place, and pages flip and flip and flip.
정박지도 도로도 없이 길을 잃다 만난 너와 나.
Without anchor or road, you and I met when we lost our way.
우리에게는 미개발의 빛들이 도착하고야 마는 것이다.
The undeveloped light finally reaches us.
추방된 자들.
The exiled.
여러 개로 갈라지는 혀를 가졌기에
Because we have a tongue that splits into multiples,
우리는 순종할 수 없습니다.
we can't obey.
당신들이 당신들을 남용하여
In this small world,
빛이 너무 많아졌습니다.
there became too much light.
이 작은 세계에
Because you abuse yourselves,
파도가 데려온 산호의 끝처럼 무한하게 회귀하는 말이 갈퀴에 쓸려
I'm swept away by rakes of speech and return infinitely, like the ends of coral washed up by waves.
무지하고 아름다운 아이들이 사라졌어요.
Clueless and beautiful children vanished.
빛이 있으라 했어도 어둠이 더욱 필요한 몸뚱이들이 태어납니다.
Even if you say, let there be light, bodies that need more darkness are born.
번식하는 문맹의 시간 속
In the time of breeding illiteracy,
내 혀에서 솟아나는
in the prayers of the countless horns,
우수한 뿔들이 읊조리는 기도에는
spurting from my tongue,
신도, 나라도 없습니다.
there is no God or country. Can you guys hear me? Okay, you're good? 그냥만.
후천적인 삶. 후천적인 삶.
An acquired life.
다른 나라의 말들만이
The languages of other countries
우리에게는 필요합니다.
are all we need.
사랑은 사라지는 것.
Love is that which disappears.
너의 입술은 너의 국기.
Your lips are your flag.
흘러나오는 모든 것들을 주워 담아
All that which pours out and pools.
내 몸을 새로운 피로 채우는 마술은
The magic that fills your body with new blood
추방된 어린아이의 손끝에서
rests at the tips of an exiled child.
끝나기 위해서만 못 갖춘 마디에
No song begins with an anacrusis,
노래가 시작되지 않습니다.
just to end.
이민자의 외투를 빌려 입고
Wearing the borrowed coat of an immigrant,
불완전한 목소리를 가다듬어
clearing an incomplete throat.
나 여기 있어.
Yes, yes, I am here.
계속해서
Torn up
찢어지는
continuously,
천조각의 실 한 오라기로
as one string from a scrap of cloth
바람에 섞여들어
is swept away into the wind,
있을 수 없는 일이 되어가면서
into a thing that cannot be split
쓸 수 없는 문자로 쪼개지면서
apart into unwritable text.
한 사람
A person.
나는 길게 누워있는 섬 위의 저녁 구름에 서린 분홍 같은 것이었다가 조금씩 시간이 흘러 이렇게 한 사람이 되었습니다.
After I used to be like that frosty pink on the night cloud hanging over that long, stretched out island, just as time passes slowly, I became a person.
가끔 화단 끝에 우두커니 깜빡 잠들었다 혼자 깨어나 어안이 벙벙해진 오후의 친구를 놀래키는 흐린 그림자 같은 것이었는데 지금은 한 사람이 되었습니다.
Sometimes, after momentarily dozing into sleep and waking up alone at the end of a flower bed, dazed, I was like the murky shadow of a friend that startles you awake in the afternoon. But now, I became a person.
부드러운 산호,
Soft coral,
고트 캔디 파랑,
the blue of cotton candy.
바다로 떨어지는 빗방울들,
In the ocean, raindrops are falling.
위로 떠오르는 밤의 달의 반쪽 얼굴,
From the half face of the night moon climbing above.
미래에서 자고 있는 내 아이의 꿈에 들려오는 자장가,
The lullaby I sing in the dream of my child who sleeps in the future.
들어본 적 없이 떠오르는 소리의 끊어진 마디들,
The final verse of a song no one has ever heard.
파도는 밀려왔다 밀려가는 동안 흰 모래와 석양과 별빛들을 얼마나 가져갔다 되돌려주러 오는지 사라진 계절들이 겹쳐져 지구 밖의 하늘은 점점 더 검어집니다.
After the tide rolls in, while it rolls out again, the waves pull white sand, the setting sun and starlight, returning them back to their place. Vanished seasons overlap, darkening the sky outside the earth.
그리고 나는 세상에 떠있는 나라들, 해변의 이름과 모래와 색깔을 엮어 만든 조개 껍데기 목걸이에 끊어진 줄을 잇고 있는 하나의 사람이 되었습니다.
and cutting the string of a seashell necklace that connects the colors, pieces, and names of all the beaches in all the countries floating on Earth, I became a person.
The restaurant is more romantic.
The most romantic.
Yeah, 안녕, 드라큘라.
Hello, Dracula.
당신이 나를 당신의 안으로 들여보내준다면 나는 아이의 얼굴이거나 노인의 얼굴로 영원히 당신의 곁에 남아 사랑을 다할 수 있다.
If you let me inside you, I will stay by your side forever. And with the face of a child or an old man, I will give you all of my love.
세계의 방들은 처음부터 끝까지 햇살로 가득하지만
From beginning to end, even though all the rooms of the world are filled with sunshine,
당신이 살아있는 사실, 그 아름다움을 아는 이는 나 하나뿐.
the fact that you're alive, how beautiful to know that I'm the only one who knows it.
당신은 당신의 소년을 버리지 않아도 좋고 나는 나의 소녀를 버리지 않아도 좋은 것이다.
It's okay if you don't abandon the boy in you, and it's okay if I don't desert the girl in me.
세계의 방들은 온통 열려있는 문들로 가득하지만
Even though all the rooms in the world are full of wide open doors,
당신이 고통스럽다는 사실, 그 아름다움을 아는 이는 나 하나뿐.
the fact you're in agony, how beautiful to know that I'm the only one who knows it.
당신이 나를 당신에게 허락해 준다면 나는 순백의 신부이거나 순결한 미치광이로
If you give me your permission to become a white bride or virgin lunatic,
당신이 당신임을 증명할 것이다.
I will be the evidence that you are you.
쏟아지는 어둠 속에서 우리는 우리의 아이가 아니라 우리 자신을 낳을 것이고 우리가 낳은 우리들은 정말로 살아갈 것이다.
In the gushing darkness, rather than birthing a baby, we will give birth to ourselves. The we that we will make will really live.
당신이 세상에서 처음 내는 목소리로 안녕 하고 말해준다면
But only if you say hey in a voice that's never been used in the world,
나의 귀가 이 세계의 빛나는 햇살 속에서 멀어버리지 않는다면
only if my ears don't go deaf in the sunlight that brightens this world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the man Jake Levine himself, who is an assistant professor of creative writing at Jaeyoun University. He has written and translated or co-translated over a dozen books. He edits the award-winning contemporary Korean poetry series Moon Country at Black Ocean Press. His first full-length book of poetry, The Imagined Country, came out with Tolson Books in 2023. Please welcome Jake Levine to the stage.
Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine. When Kim Jong-un's father died and Kim Jong-un rose to the position of supreme leader of North Korea and leader of the Workers' Party of Korea, Jake Levine got hired at Sejong University. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine are the same age. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine both gained weight. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine both struggle to control their smoking habits. And yet, Jake Levine is not married to a famous North Korean singer, and Jake Levine has no nuclear warheads. Although Jake Levine and Kim Jong-un live on the same peninsula and watched Dennis Rodman play basketball as children, Jake Levine does not have a security detail. And Jake Levine rarely has people cry when he meets them. Jake Levine has had very cool haircuts, but he has never held hands with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. Jake Levine got a PhD and reads a lot of books. Each book he reads means he knows. The more he knows, the more he understands how little power he has. It's that kind of crowd. I noticed behind me, sometimes there's like the screensaver comes on, and then like one of the images is dude holding an alligator head. They cut off. Yeah, I like that one. Here's another. I'm gonna read some poems about Korea. I'm afraid I'm going to die in a thermonuclear holocaust. And I will get evaporated before I have time to collect the red food compost bin after work. I don't know if this anxiety stems from the real possibility of war breaking out on the peninsula or is falsely stimulated by the onslaught of news updates that aggregate inside my head until I begin to hear the woolly splash that signifies sheep corralled by wolves being pushed off the rationality cliff. Yesterday, over a dinner of fried baby octopus and honey-flavored pizza, I suggested to Mrs. Kim and Mr. Song and Mr. Park that we get gelato because we might all die in a thermonuclear holocaust. We were finishing the last bites of fried baby octopus, and we still had to talk about class assignments for next semester. But because none of us really wanted to talk about class assignments for next semester, we began to talk about the war. Mr. Park said it was unlikely the Americans will attack because Hollywood has not made any war movies that dealt with an imagined Korean War. If Americans cannot imagine themselves winning on a screen, they cannot fight in real life. Mr. Kim said Mr. Trump was as unpredictable as Mr. Kim Jong-un. Then she asked me if I received a text message from the US Embassy saying war is imminent, would I be polite enough to forward her that information so that her and her kids could go to a subway station and hide. Mr. Song took off his glasses. He rubbed his face. He said, "Is anyone going to eat this last piece of pizza?" There was a piece of honey pizza lying on a slated bamboo sheet on a decorative blue plate. Mrs. Kim, Mr. Park, and I all shook our head. Go ahead. The baby octopus was tender and spicy, but the cheese on the pizza was already cold. This is a poem written after a book by Hwang Yuwon, who's sitting over there. This poem is called All Maximalist Poets Must Die. And it has an epigraph. Epigraph? What's the thing at the beginning with the quote?
Epigraph.
Epigraph, that is what it's called. Sorry, we're really jet lagged. Even the jet lag gets worse as the days go on. You would think it would get better, but it gets deeper. I came into this world naked, bloody, and screaming, I'm gonna go out the same damn way. Baphomet. Riding a brown bear through the untamed woods on a scorching night when it is over 100 degrees, to the lake where the mermaids with hairy armpits sing for the fishermen who shave their asses and chests smooth to swim faster, on a moonless night, a very dark night, when high school girls eating strawberry bingsu out of plastic cups don't even smile in their selfies. When feverish rats with black hair don't have the energy to leave their nests. When the calluses on the fingers of a blind bluesman who went to jail for 30 years of larceny and murder suddenly feel very soft. Only on that kind of night, a night when the emperor with 45 concubines and a double chin who can't have sex even after eating the most powerful red ginseng plucked from the Choson dynasty declares, all maximalist poets must die. On that particularly dangerous kind of night, Hwang Yuwon and I become the sexiest poets alive. Two outlaws from Texas who shot at the sheriff with their Colt 45s and rode their half-lame horses across the border with blood leaking from bullet holes in their 10-gallon hats, who sweated day and night and almost died of heat exhaustion, dehydration, herpes, syphilis, and the tedium of bobbing all day on a horse, who were shot in the backs or abandoned and left by friends to be eaten by cross-eyed jaguars with broken tails after following the eyes of a wandering eagle that tracked a family of pack rats deep in the jungles of Mexico, who were like Brutus stabbing Caesar, cheeks salted with tears from crying the night before, who were like Bob Dylan the day he picked up the electric guitar and permed his hair and said, "Fuck you" to folk. We are now a part of the brotherhood where maximalist poets must die. Somewhere beyond the moon, David Bowie is on a black star singing the maximalist poet song, and the ghost of Karl Marx is combing his maximalist beard. In other words, today is a day where the stars that became black holes are starting to sparkle again. Yes, tonight the happy Buddha pats his enormous gut and chants a maximalist chant. For thousands of years without pausing to catch his breath, maximalist Kim Soo-young melts Antarctica with a single drop of his maximalist spit. And my song is like the Siberian wind. It makes all the purple nipples of all the bears in the Arctic stick out 3 inches. Because today is the day when maximalist poets must die. Here's another poem about Hwang Yuwon. I think this will probably be my last poem. You guys have endured enough. Hwang Yuwon's Metaphysics. Languages I don't know make symphonies of my ear without licking my mind, and Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. In order to be a poet, Rilke thought you had to be a hero or a lover or dead at 20, and Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi, and I pay the taxi driver 50,000 won because Hwang Yuwon puked in a taxi. Hwang Yuwon crosses a threshold of social acceptability. Hwang Yuwon is a little less Hwang Yuwon without his puke inside him. And the taxi is more Hwang Yuwon with Hwang Yuwon's puke inside it. Is the taxi driver that drives the taxi interested in the metaphysical transformation between Hwang Yuwon and his taxi? Is 50,000 won an adequate entrance fee for this deep and philosophical metabolic exchange? Like drugs, dancing, sex, or art, perhaps puking inside of a taxi is a spontaneous and deep form of surrender. Perhaps to illustrate to me possibilities beyond what I have experienced because I have never puked in a taxi, Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. All the taxis in the world that Hwang Yuwon hasn't puked in feel endlessly empty as Hwang Yuwon endlessly empties. When Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi, he is pouring out translation theory. Hwang Yuwon taps on the gates of infinity. Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. Thank you very much for listening to before I go, thank you, Sean, for putting on all these events. Thank you, everybody. Bill's also here, and everybody who is a part of the New Orleans Poetry Festival. And thank you very much for having us here in Thibodaux. First time for me. Very cool.
Yes, Jake has books for sale, his own book, and you have some of the all three, all right?
Yeah, it's an anthology with about 2 in it.
So afterwards, we'll get in on some of the book sales there. Guess which poet is coming next? Hwang Yuwon. He is a poet and translator. He is the author of 4 collections of poetry: White Deer Lake, Supernatural 3D Printing, You Should See Me in a Crown, and Everything in the World Maximized. He translates a variety of poets and novelists from English to Korean, including Walt Whitman, Bob Dylan, Herman Melville, and Anne Carson. He also won 4 major Korean literary awards. Please welcome to the stage, Hwang Yuwon.
Thank you, John. My name is Yuwon and I'm from South Korea. I'm one of the sexiest boys in the world. Imagine. I've never heard that anybody told me that I'm sexy. He's like the only guy who told me that I'm sexist in the world, and I kind of like it. I think I hear it for the first time. He's leading it, so yeah, I feel so happy. Okay, where was I? So it's so nice to see you all here, and so nice to be here. And I'm gonna read 2 poems of mine. And the first one is called Hanshan at Cold Mountain. And I don't know if you know Cold Mountain. He was this Chinese poet whose name was Cold Mountain. I don't really know much about Cold Mountain, but when I heard his name, Cold Mountain, I thought that's super cool, What kind of name is that, Cold Mountain? I want a name like that. Because my name also means, Yuwon, it means have an origin, have a root. Cold Mountain is so much cool. Anyway, I'm gonna read the poem. 한산에서
Hanshan at Cold Mountain.
겨울엔 발이 차다.
In winter, my feet are cold.
마음은 안 시리고 양손도 따뜻한데 찬 발이 때로 시리다.
Even though I don't feel cold and both my hands are warm, my cold feet feel chilled.
그날 퇴근길에 댄스를 걸어갔던 동어대교. 얼어붙은 한강에 서 있다 일렬로 날아오르던 새떼들 생각을 한 것도 아닌데 찬 발이 겨울 같다.
Standing on the frozen Han, I stood on the Dongho Bridge that I crossed on my way home, and not even having a single thought about flocks of birds that flew away is kind of like winter when my feet are cold.
네가 10년 전에 사준 등산 양말을 나는 아직도 겨울마다 꺼내 신는다.
Every winter, I still wear the hiking socks you bought for me 10 years ago.
방 안에서만, 방 밖에서는 안 신고 발이 시린 방 안에서만 신다가 겨울이 사라질 것 같으면 다시 벗는다.
But only in my house, not outside. I wear the socks only in the room where my feet are cold and take them off when it feels like winter has vanished.
시린 발로 그동안 가본 모든 차가운 나라라도 다시 가본다.
With my chilled feet, I try to revisit all the cold countries I've been to.
발이라도 차야 한다. 마음이 안 시리면 양말이라도 벗어야 한다.
I've got to kick my feet if I don't feel cold. I need to take off my socks.
그러다 문득 다시 밀려오는 새벽에 발이 시리면
But if morning comes and my feet feel cold,
나는 어디도 갈 수 없을 것만 같고 나는 어디로도 갈 수 있을 테지만 어디로 가도 여기서 벗어날 수 없을 것만 같아.
I feel like I can't go anywhere, even though I can go anywhere, and no matter where I go, here's a place I can't seem to get out of.
시린 발이 새벽 같다.
Cold feet are like daybreak.
모든 새벽에 발이 시리고 모든 새벽에 발이 양말을 신길 거리는 것 같다.
All of the feet of daybreak are cold, and all the feet of daybreak must wear socks.
늦은 새벽 술자리에서 꼰대는 자꾸 내게 너는 시인이니까 멋진 마무리 멘트나 하나 해보라고 하는데
At a bar at late daybreak, the old dude always says, "You're a poet, so you better say some profound shit before we leave."
시인은 그런 거 대신 그저 양말이나 벗고 시린 맨발이나 보여줄 수 있을 뿐이다.
But being a poet is not like that. It's more like taking off your socks to reveal something like cold feet.
밤새 미친놈처럼 맨발로 혼자 겨울 산에나 오를 수 있을 뿐이다.
It's more like being some crazy fucker wearing no shoes or socks that climbs a mountain in winter alone.
정신 못 차릴 정도로 멋진 생각이 떠오를 때까지 그 생각을 퍼줄 생각에 이가 다 시려올 때까지
Climbing until you think of something so cool that you can't get your head on straight. Climbing until your teeth ache from just the thought of having to make that thought.
그러다 발이 사라질 것 같을 때쯤 정신이 번쩍 들어 이제는 발목 다 늘어난 양말 양손으로 걸려 그 속으로 너무 늦게 들어가 보기도 한다.
When my feet feel like they're about to disappear is when I get my head straight. Now I'm going to take my socks that stretched over my ankles with 2 hands, and even if it's too late, I'm going to stretch them wider and try to enter that consciousness.
사라질락 말락하던 발이 양말 속에서 말랑말랑해질 때까지
In my socks until they grew silky soft, my squishy feet that almost sublimated.
선배 시인 한산도 산중에 추운 밤이면 옛날에 누가 사준 양말 꺼내 신고 샀을까?
I wonder if on a cold night in the middle of mountains, in some ancient time, did my poet ancestor Cold Mountain also take off his socks that someone bought for him and sleep?
알 수 없지만
Even though I can't know.
벌써 10년이나 세월이 흘러갔지만
Even though 10 years have passed already.
나는 아직 잊지 않았다.
I haven't forgotten what happened between us.
이제 이 양말은 전신이 축 늘어져 집에서 밖에는 신을 수 없게 돼버렸지만
In these completely stretched out socks I can't even wear outside my house.
Thank you. And the second one is the second part of the long poem of mine, which is called Supernatural 3D Printing. I think I'm going to read the whole poem on Friday, I guess, maybe. So you guys know where to find us. So, yeah.
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans. So, it doesn't have the subtitle in Korean, but it has a subtitle in English translation. It's called Batshit. Okay, Batshit. 초자연적 3D printing.
Supernatural 3D printing.
초자연적인 밤.
On a supernatural night.
나는 늘 뭘 잘 모르고 뭘 잘 모르는 내가 그것에 대해 품는 생각은 늘 실제 그것을 초과한다.
I don't know much about anything. Me who doesn't know much about anything has thoughts that embrace those things I don't know much about, and those thoughts are always exceed the real thing.
초자연의 밤, 초자연적 밤바다.
On a supernatural night, the supernatural sea.
누구도 온전히 수용할 순 없어 인간 주제. 그래봤자 겨우 쾌와 불쾌 사이를 요리조리 왔다 갔다 할 뿐인 주제.
No one can take it all in. Humanity, to be just human, is to roll back and forth between pleasure and pain.
자, 여기 칼이 많이 잠들어 있다. 어느 칼을 깨워 배워줄까?
Here many of the knives are sleeping. Which knife should I wake up and slash you with?
잠든 칼은 깨우기만 해도 춤이다. 깨어난 칼이 가만히 앉아있기만 해도 춤이 두 눈 번뜩인다. 물에 칼자국 난다.
Even waking a knife is a dance. Even if the knife is silently resting. With two eyes, flash, I can see the dance. Inside the water is a cut.
칼로 물베기의 예술을 이번엔 누구에게 보여줄까?
The art of cutting water with a knife. The art of uselessness. Who should I show it to?
칼처럼 고요히 누워있는 물을 누구에게 먹여줄까? 누구 목에 부어줄까?
Water lying silent like a knife. Who should I feed it to? Whose neck should I pour it into?
칼 춤추는 무당아, 하늘에서 보면 너는 붕붕거리는 한 마리 무당벌레로밖에 안 보이는구나.
Lady shaman doing a knife dance. If you look into the sky, all you see is a ladybug buzzing.
아무리 날아봐야 출발지와 도착지가 거기서 거기 작은 버러지 한 마리로밖에는 생각되지 않는구나.
No matter how much it flies, whether it's the departure or the destination, shit's the same. You see one small bug and the bug always looks like it's in the same place.
먼 눈에 뭐밖에 안 보인다고는 하지만
Yes, but what you see with your eyes is the only thing you see.
그러나 이 손가락 위를 기어가던 무당벌레는 손가락이 끝나면 그 끝에서 양 날개를 펼치고
Ladybugs that crawl on my fingers, to the very end of my fingertips. They spread their wings and
붕
bzzz,
날아가 버리고
they take off and
뒤에 남겨진 손가락은 날아가는 무당벌레를 한동안 멍하니 바라만 보다 다시 제정신으로 돌아와 뒤늦게 자판이나 두들긴다.
My fingers that stare unconsciously at the ladybugs that fly off come back to their senses and beat on the keyboard, but it's always too late.
춤으로 바다를 다 건너낼 수 있다고 해놓고서 바닷속으로 풍덩 물속에 들어가는 칼처럼 깨끗하게 입수하는 춤들.
Someone said that you can cross the sea by dancing, and like a knife entering the sea, every attempt at dancing enters the water cleanly and plop.
오늘은 유난히 밤이 길다. 바다 끝까지 가라앉는데 걸리는 시간과 노력처럼 축 늘어진 팔다리처럼 나는 그 팔다리를 다 주물러주고 싶었으나 누구는 그 팔다리를 몽땅 다 잘라주고 싶었을 것이다.
Tonight, the dark is exceptionally long. Like the time and effort it takes to sink to the bottom of the sea, like arms and legs endlessly stretching. Though I wanted to massage those limbs, someone must have wanted to chop those limbs off.
더 이상 흔들리며 걸어다니지 않아도 되도록 물처럼 바람에 출렁이지 않도록 다 잘린 너를 식물처럼 땅에 심어주고 싶었을 것이다.
So that you no longer have to swing and walk about, so that you no longer swish in the wind like water. You, with all your limbs cut off like some plant. I wanted to root you in the dirt.
흐드러지게 붉은 꽃 필 것인가? 바다 위에 점점이 흩어진 산다와 같을 것인가?
And if I did, would red flowers bloom? Like camellias, would they slowly scatter atop the sea?
인간 주제. 그래봤자 겨우 눈에서 딱정벌레가 왔다 갔다 할 뿐인 주제.
Humanity. To be only human is to get the spins so bad that your pupils are like a beetle crawling around a human eye.
무당들이 시퍼런 칼을 먹고 밤새도록 긴 물 뿜어내는 밤.
On a night when shamans swallow navy knives and spurt water until daybreak.
지평선에 가까워져 바닥에 펼쳐지는 몸뚱아리처럼 오늘은 길어지는 밤이 끝도 없고
Like some flabby body spreading out on the floor that closes in on the horizon, there's no end to the dark tonight, and
나는 정말이지 환하게 미쳐있다. 아주 멀리서도 다 보일 만큼.
you're so batshit that you're shooting light. So batshit crazy you can't be seen from far away.
Thank you.
We have a little time for Q&A. Does anybody have any questions for the poets who read?
Choose your own adventure prize.
So before we get into this, these books are the books for sale. It is choose your own adventure pricing. So whatever you have to spare, $100 or above, you can buy a book. Just kidding, $100.
I have to get rid of them all.
You have a question over here?
Oh, I was talking about the book.
Excellent. Anybody have a question? Yes.
Hi, I have one for Dr. Davis. Hi. So you were talking about how your poems were inspired by people in the park. Were they conversations you overheard, or were they just sort of interpreted in your own mind?
Well, to be a successful writer, you have to be a liar. I don't know those people. I become people. But I didn't. That was just a gimmick. I didn't overhear. I didn't eavesdrop. That's just creating, and speaking for people. And like a novel, when you write a novel, it's not you, but people are talking. I'm more comfortable making up people or getting to the essence of different people. But I'm a liar too.
Well, who knows if that was the truth, if you're alive. Any questions in the back here? Questions? Yes.
Okay, so I have a question for Jake. There was a line in that something like Jake Levine has no nuclear warheads. Does Jake Levine want nuclear warheads? Was what I kind of, there was an implication there, so I want to know.
The question is not if he wants them. What would he do if he has them? I gotta get them first.
Well, keep me posted.
Thank you. Other questions back here? I heard there was extra credit if you'll ask a question. 100,000 points. The most questions. Questions going once, going twice, going thrice. Would like to try one thing here. If y'all three would come get in the middle so we can take a picture with all you beautiful people in the crowd, and we can have everybody raise their hands like they're on a roller coaster or getting carjacked. Come on up, come on up. We'll get a little picture with everybody. This is the best crowd we've had so far for the NOPF Roadshow, and y'all are fantastic for being here. I want to thank y'all for being here. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Get in there. We're getting a picture with y'all through. Get in the middle. Get in the middle. Yeah, throw them up, throw them up. All right, 1, 2, 3. It's beautiful, beautiful. So we have plenty of events at the New Orleans Poetry Festival this weekend. I realize Thursday or Friday might be hard for y'all to make it out. They are doing another longer performance in a panel on Friday night at Cafe Istanbul in the New Orleans Healing Center. On Saturday, we have a bunch of wonderful events. We have, on Saturday and Sunday, we have 39 readings with 195 poets. We have 20 roundtable discussions on a variety of poetry and poetics. We have 11 free workshops. There's also a badass reading Saturday night with Latasha Nevada Diggs, Carolina Abid, and the Cornelius Edie Jazz Trio. They're doing multimedia poetry with sound and visuals and projectors, lasers, all kinds of wild ass shit. So if you can make it out, please get a designated driver, head down to New Orleans, have a couple cocktails at the festival, watch some great poetry, and then come on back to Thibodaux. If you want to come buy a book or meet the poets, come on up. Thank you so much for being here. Have an excellent afternoon. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.